Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually going to be talking about one of the year-long challenges that I set myself, which is my series reading challenge. And I'm pivoting a little bit. Usually around the middle of the year I go back and I reassess my bingo board from hell challenges and I kind of see if I need to up anything or modify anything. And I think that's a really important thing to do when you have a challenge, because your life 6 months into the year, even 3 months into the year, can be very different to what it was at the start of the year. The reason I'm pivoting a little bit is because I put a couple of series on my list that I really genuinely want to read. But what is happening in my life at the moment, I've talked about this sort of tangentially in other videos, but I've had a lot of medical expenses this year. And so that's eaten into sort of my budget, which means that I am trying to be very specific and intentional in what I'm purchasing versus what I'm trying to acquire from libraries and online sources and subscriptions and things like that. For 3 of the series by Sawyer Bennett, which again, they're hockey series, I really want to read them. I've enjoyed everything that I've read in the series of them that I've read so far. But the problem that I have at the moment is that the books that I need are not currently available through my library system, and they're also not available on KU. And there are quite a number of books, so that's quite an expensive endeavor. To that end, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put Cold Fury, Arizona Vengeance, and Pittsburgh Titans kind of on the back burner. Like they're not series that I'm giving up on by any stretch. They're staying in there, and I will more than likely end up with them back on a series challenge at some point in the future. But for me personally, like it's just not financially feasible for me to try and read through those series with the number of books that are contained in it. You know, that's totally fine, because you got to do what you got to do, right? And I'm not setting myself up for failure intentionally because I'll just feel rubbish about it, when I can just go, you know what, at the moment this is not the right time and place to read those books. Not because I don't want to, just because I don't physically have the means to do it. So they're going to the side. I've already managed to complete reading 4 series and I DNF'd 1, so it counts as a complete. So I DNF'd the last book in the Spoiler Alert series. I've read the Something Wicked series by Elisse. I've read the Talbott's Cove series by Canterbary, the Storm Boys series by N.R. Walker, and the Linear Tactical series by Janie Crouch. So those are complete. The ones that are left on the list, aside from Sawyer Bennett's Cold Fury, Arizona Vengeance, and Pittsburgh Titans series, are the Jacksonville Rays books by Emily Rath. So the 4th book is coming out in a couple of months and I will read it then. The Firebird Chronicles, I have 2 books left in that to read currently, and the 6th book is being written at the moment. I have a couple of books left in the Never Just Friends series by Saxon James, and I have less than half of the Vino and Veritas series, which is all in KU, which is the reason why I'm able to keep this one on the list. Plus, I'm reading that one pretty regularly. I'm getting through usually 2 to 3 books from that series per month, which is great. And while I could just literally take out those 3 series and just call it done, that's not who I am. I'm technically upping my series, I think, from 12 series now to 15, but I have less books to read. But it does mean I will complete out some series. And you know, if I hadn't been as overly ambitious as I was at the start of the year, which was totally fine, like there's nothing wrong with that, I probably would have considered a few of these things before I put other series on the title, because these were books that I already physically owned that would finish out series. So I am adding the Beartown series by Fredrik Backman onto my series to finish, because I have 1 book left. I have The Winners. I have owned it since last year. So it's going on the list because that is something that I can finish out this year, and then that's a complete series. I had pre-ordered Saxon James's special editions of the Frat Wars series. So I have all 4 books. I have them. I physically own them. So I'm going to be reading that probably in July when I do the Australian Readathon. I've started the Middle of Somewhere series by Roan Parrish. I read the first book. I own the next 2. So that I'm going to finish out, because at one point Roan Parrish put all of their books out there for free. I think it was, they were making a point about something. And so I got everything and I loved the first book. So I'm planning on reading the next 2. I have 2 more books in the Hands of the Potter series by Kristy Marie, which is a series that I started reading years ago, and I do actually enjoy them. They're kind of, they're about a family of brothers who all work in the medical profession, but in sort of the cosmetic surgery side of things for various different reasons. I have enjoyed the first 2 books, and there's 2 more, they're on KU, and it would be nice to finish out that series, because each time I just kind of dip into that series, I really enjoy myself. I have 2 more books left in the Mount Hope series by Annabeth, and Annabeth is just an author that I read all the time. They're one of the first authors that I started reading when I started reading romance. They were one of the very first arcs that I ever got off NetGalley. I really like the way they incorporate queer joy into their stories, and this series in particular features older MMCs, which is also nice. The last series that I'm going to try and put on here to finish out, well, it's either to finish out or to DNF the series, but I think I'll finish it out, is the Kane series by Alexis, because I do own all of those ebooks as well, and there's 2 more left that I have. I think there's technically a 5th one in the works, but I don't know what the timeline is on that being completed, so I only have 2. That's the plan. So I'm going to up this square to 15 series, but I have significantly less books, but I do have easy access to all of these books. And I think that's just something to keep in mind when you do set yourself challenges, that it's okay to change your mind, because Like I said, I really want to finish the Sawyer Bennett series because I love the way that that world interconnects, because I've read something from all 3 series. I just haven't read them in the right order at any point. I'm hoping that some more of the books come into my local library system because that's where I started reading some of the series. But for the moment, it's just not feasible. And that's okay. It's totally fine. Looking at this now, I'm more excited to get back into it because I think I was starting to feel a little bit of sense of dread. And it's not that my financial situation is dire. It's just that it's not a realistic thing at the moment for me to be able to purchase, I don't know, something like 18 to 20 or more ebooks at $5.99 for the sake of a challenge. That's a reality, right? So hopefully I can get these down and then we can see what happens later in the year. I will eventually come back to those series because they're in my series tracker and I'm a completionist and they're hockey romances. That's the updates. I now need to go and update my digital journal. I need to update my list that I'm tracking on here and also just make sure that everything is properly in my series tracker. Still a little bit of extra work. In the comments, I'd love to know, have you read any of these series? Is there anything that you feel like I need to pick up sooner rather than later? Or what is a series that you are hoping to read or catch up on? Because that's what the series challenge is. It's either finishing, completing, or catching up on series. What's something that you're trying to finish or catch up on? If you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't leave a comment, feel free to leave a book stack emoji. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.